What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer, and today I'm going to talk about Hero 27 and address some big potential hints for them that, for whatever reason, I haven't seen many people acknowledge. While everyone's already familiar with the whole Ares Greek hero theory, I'm going to look at some other map clues that may be straight up displaying the new hero's release date, and then take into account things that Jeff Kaplan has talked about in order to get a more realistic look at our current puzzle pieces. First up is a clue on Junkertown, which many of you have likely already seen before. I actually made a video about it several months back, but there's a license plate found in two different locations which reads LO3-20J. Looking just at the numbers, we have 03-20, which could easily be interpreted as the date March 20th. Now, so far we've seen Overwatch have a fairly consistent cycle when it comes to releasing new content. Limited time events happen about every 2 months, and new maps and heroes are each released every 4 months. Over the close to 2 years that Overwatch has been out now, we've gotten Ana and Doomfist in July, Sombra and Moira in November, and Orisa in March. Therefore, even without this Junkertown clue, it would make sense for the next hero to be released in March once again. And even more convincingly, not only is March 20th a Tuesday, which if you didn't know is the most common day for Blizzard to release new content, but also it's only 1 day off from when Orisa hit live servers last year. Interestingly though, this isn't even the only map to hint at this specific date. Real quick though, before I move on to it, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to keep up with all my other Overwatch content and never miss any future news or updates. Now back to Hero 27. If we take a look at Hollywood, we see this exact same date displayed on the clapper boards, which are scattered across the map. However, these say more than just 0320, and are followed immediately by the number 27. Coincidence? Well, actually, maybe. I first came to notice this thanks to a post a couple days ago by someone named FrankieFox2468 on Reddit. This post didn't seem to get much attention, but it certainly intrigued me. If you recall one of the many things Jeff Kaplan had said regarding Hero 27 at this point, one of the more famous quotes of his regarding the new hero is that they're a surprise that has perhaps been hinted at. The general consensus people seem to have after hearing this was that he was alluding to a cameo, similar to the one we got from Moira in the Masquerade comic. People have been looking for a name or a face, such as the character seen in the background of Moira's own origin story video. However, what if Jeff was actually referring to something else? In this case, what if he was referring only to their release date having been teased multiple times across 2 different maps, with one of them specifically acknowledging 27 as well. Now, one other big thing came to mind for me when considering whether or not this is a new hero clue. The Hollywood map, as well as the clapper boards scattered across it, have been around for a very long time. The map itself was released back in November of 2015, about half a year before Overwatch itself actually released. So does that mean this clue has existed that long as well? To answer this, we need to look at the clapper boards specifically. While they've for sure existed on the map since its release, it's possible that Blizzard had changed the numbers on them at some point. In fact, if there was a confirmed number change at some point recently, that would pretty much be a dead giveaway that something was afoot. So I did a bit of digging and I found a number of discussions regarding these clapper boards from back in 2016. The earliest image I could find was a Reddit post from June of 2016, and as you can see here, even back then it read 03-2027. However, we may need to take a bit of perspective with this. Assuming that Blizzard changed the numbers on the clapper boards the same time that this June 2016 post was made, that would mean a teaser for Hero 27 existed 21 months before their actual reveal. Alternatively, assuming that these boards have always read 03-2027 and were never changed after their addition to the game along with the Hollywood map back in November of 2015, that would mean they teased Hero 27's exact reveal date 28 months in advance. That's over 2 whole years and more than twice as long as the earliest Sombra ARG clue prior to Sombra's release. At this point, you might be getting more excited, but personally, it's only made me more skeptical. Even with Blizzard's history of teasing and foreshadowing new content, a 28-month early teaser is just a bit too ludicrous for me to buy. The Overwatch devs have mentioned before that it generally takes about a year for a hero to be fully developed from start to finish. As an example, shortly after Doomfist's release, there was a Reddit post showing off early playtest footage of him. The playtest footage itself was recorded in December of 2016, meaning that Doomfist was being tested without having any unique character art assets 7 months before his release. So not only is 28 months simply unnecessary for most given heroes' development periods, but it also assumes that Blizzard had planned the exact date for the exact hero more than 2 years in advance. And furthermore, we even have Jeff Kaplan himself outright saying that they don't know when Hero 27 will be released.
The hero, we're not really sure exactly when the release date is. The release date is less important to us than getting the hero right. We have the hero in internal testing, and so far we're having a ton of fun, and we're making a lot of great progress.
Unfortunately, it seems like this whole theory kinda dies here. It may be another false alarm, just like the date on the Hanamura posters that people had been speculating about not too long ago. However, none of this explains the uncanny coincidence of these numbers reading what will most likely end up being at least very close to Hero 27's release date. Or the fact that the Junkertown license plate, which was only released back in August of 2017, just 7 months ahead of March, shares these exact same numbers. Also, what about these other numbers on the board? So far, I've only discussed the top row, but the bottom row could be read as April 29th, and then followed by what's likely an intentionally glitched out year. But regardless of year, that date doesn't really make much sense. In 2017, April 29th fell during the last week of the Uprising event, and presumably will do the same in 2018. Furthermore, thanks to leap year, the next time April 29th will fall on a Tuesday is 2025. I don't even need to count the number of months to know how absurd that is. So in conclusion, this may be all there is to it. Perhaps the date March 20th, followed by the number 27, along with the fact that Blizzard then placed these exact same numbers again on a second map, and that in 2018, March 20th is a Tuesday and lines up almost exactly with when Orisa was released 1 year prior, is all just a coincidence. So much of this seems to fit just right, but then the conflicting factors at play seemingly make it impossible. So as always, this is where you guys come in. I'm dying to hear what you all think of this, so please leave your own thoughts about it in the comments down below. Maybe you even have some more information regarding it that I have yet to otherwise discover. If so, then I'd love to hear that too. And don't forget to check out today's poll card to vote for whether you think all this is an actual clue or just a wild goose chase. And with that, thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and turn on notifications to keep up with all my future Overwatch content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, remain vigilant and have a great day.